Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into an incredible topic, the odds of Jesus fulfilling just 8 of the over 300 Messianic prophecies. Prophecies, predictions etched in stone centuries, sometimes millennia before their fulfillment. Could any human being, no matter how extraordinary, fulfill even a handful of these divine pronouncements by mere chance? Let's explore these prophecies, their fulfillment, and grapple with the astronomical odds that point to something truly remarkable. Our journey begins centuries before the birth of Jesus in the book of Daniel. The prophet Daniel, living in exile in Babylon, receives a vision of time, measured out in weeks of years, culminating in a specific point in history. Daniel 8 and 9 lay out this timeline, a countdown to the arrival of a figure who would usher in an era of everlasting righteousness. This anointed one, the Messiah, was destined to appear precisely within the time frame Daniel meticulously detailed. Now, imagine a clock, its gears set in motion centuries ago, ticking down through empires and conquests, pointing to a singular moment in time. Could this be mere coincidence, or does it whisper of a plan orchestrated with breathtaking precision? Centuries before the Roman Empire, the prophet Micah gazed upon the humble town of Bethlehem. He penned these words, "But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times." This prophecy, etched in time, proclaimed that the Messiah, the future ruler of Israel, would be born not in a grand palace, but in unassuming Bethlehem. Fast forward centuries later to the birth of Jesus. The Gospel of Matthew recounts how Joseph and Mary, guided by Roman decree, traveled to Bethlehem for the census. It was there, in that very town, foretold by Micah, that Jesus was born. The prophet Isaiah, 7 centuries before the birth of Jesus, declared, "Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel." This prophecy, bold and unparalleled, proclaimed a miraculous birth. The Messiah would enter the world not through the natural order, but through a virgin birth, a sign of divine intervention. Centuries later, the Gospel of Luke recounts the story of Mary, a young woman visited by the angel Gabriel. The angel declared that Mary, though a virgin, would conceive by the power of the Holy Spirit and give birth to a son, Jesus, the Son of God. The fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy, a virgin birth, pointed to the divine nature of the Messiah. Prophecy 4. The price of betrayal, 30 pieces of silver. The prophet Zechariah, in a passage both poignant and unsettling, prophesied the betrayal of the Messiah. "If it is good in your sight, give me my wages, but if not, never mind." So they weighed out 30 pieces of silver as my wages. This prophecy, shrouded in darkness, foretold the price of the Messiah's betrayal, a paltry sum of 30 pieces of silver. Centuries later, the Gospel accounts tell the heartbreaking story of Judas, one of Jesus's own disciples, who betrays him for this very price. 30 pieces of silver, the price of a slave, became the symbol of the Messiah's betrayal, fulfilling Zechariah's prophecy with chilling accuracy. Prophecy 5. Mocked and scorned, the suffering servant. King David, in the Psalms, paints a vivid picture of suffering and humiliation. "All who see me mock me, they hurl insults, shaking their heads. "He trusts in the Lord," they say. "Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him." These words, written 1,000 years before the birth of Jesus, describe the Messiah as one who would be mocked, ridiculed, and scorned. Centuries later, the Gospels describe in detail the fulfillment of this prophecy. Jesus, during his trial and crucifixion, endures relentless mockery from soldiers, religious leaders, and even those crucified alongside him. They taunt him, challenge his claims, and spit upon him, fulfilling David's prophecy with heartbreaking accuracy. Prophecy 6. Centuries before the Romans practiced crucifixion, the prophet Isaiah wrote, "Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up." This prophecy, veiled in symbolism, pointed to a brutal form of execution that wouldn't be practiced for centuries. Crucifixion. The Messiah, Isaiah foretold, would be lifted up, a clear allusion to the way victims were raised on a cross. Centuries later, the Gospels describe the horrific death of Jesus. He was condemned to death by crucifixion, a punishment reserved for the worst criminals. Lifted up on a cross between two thieves, Jesus' death fulfilled Isaiah's prophecy in a way that was both literal and profoundly symbolic. Prophecy 7. King David, in Psalm 22, penned these haunting words, "They pierce my hands and my feet." This vivid prophecy, written centuries before crucifixion was practiced, describes the piercing of the Messiah's hands and feet, a detail that would have been unimaginable in David's time. Centuries later, the Gospel accounts describe how Jesus, during his crucifixion, had his hands and feet nailed to the cross, fulfilling David's prophecy with chilling accuracy. The piercing of his hands and feet, a detail foretold centuries earlier, became a poignant symbol of the suffering the Messiah would endure. Prophecy 8. Isaiah, in his prophecy of the suffering servant, wrote these seemingly contradictory words. He was assigned a grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death. This prophecy presented a paradox. The Messiah would die with the wicked, suggesting a criminal's burial, yet be buried with the rich, implying honor and respect. Centuries later, the Gospels describe how Jesus, condemned as a criminal, was crucified between two thieves. Yet, in a remarkable turn of events, a wealthy follower of Jesus, Joseph of Arimathea, offered his own tomb for Jesus' burial. Jesus, though dying with the wicked, was laid to rest in a rich man's tomb, fulfilling Isaiah's paradoxical prophecy. The probability of one person fulfilling just 8 messianic prophecies is estimated to be 1 in 100 trillion. Imagine the state of Texas covered in silver dollars 2 feet deep, and one of them is marked. Blindfolded, someone is asked to pick the marked coin on their first try. The chances of that happening are the same as a person fulfilling 8 messianic prophecies, and that is just 8 of them. Over 300 fulfilled prophecies in one person is astronomical. We've journeyed through time, exploring just a glimpse of the many prophecies fulfilled in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. The odds, as we've seen, are staggering, pointing to a reality that defies mere chance. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating insights.